Over here at Becoming Enlightened Together, BET. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and, prepared for the week ahead, and energetic and enlightened, just a lighter sense of being. I know that's not always possible, especially for everybody that's out there. Well, I mean, currently I only have a handful of people that are even watching me at best. And that's okay. Like I said, I knew this was going to be a challenge. I don't have a whole lot that stands out per se, to draw people in. I've watched many of the YouTube videos of how to go about making a website and how to bring people in and things like that. But I'm not looking at this as a business venture as much as I am as just trying to help the collective. Just trying to help other people out there in their spiritual journey. Not claiming to have all the answers, just claiming to be somebody who's been very, honest with himself, enthusiastic about learning process. I turn over a lot of stones that, from my personal experience, a lot of people don't. And I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions. I'm not afraid to challenge status quo, not at all. In fact, it's gotten me in a lot of trouble in my lifetime, but, it's all part of the journey, and we're all warriors in one fashion or another. And, with my Viking heritage and all that kind of stuff as well, I mean, I have that heritage, and I've already shared this many times throughout the entire Western world. So, Roman, Scottish, Irish, Spanish even. So, my ancestors certainly got around. Get a room, dudes. Anyway. So, today's energy, what we're talking about is basically more positive than it has been since I've been back. As I stated, it's going to be a little bit rocky until Thursday anyway, so Wednesday night. But for today, in general, it's not very bad energy at all. Or I should say it's not as challenging as it has been. And again, time is not linear, so this will be affecting you at different points in your journey. We're all at different points in our journey, presently. So when you do any type of a collective reading, you have to make sure that people understand that time is not linear. I mean, I know that's a difficult thing to conceptualize, and it's because academia, it's, and I can't say it's all intentional. I mean, the teachers certainly are doing the very best they can with the curriculum they're forced to, teach. But I use even that word teach loosely because none of academia really teaches people early on basically how to think. In other words, critical thinking. They're only taught basically how to regurgitate information or facts, so-called. In order to get to the next level, you have to give them, A through Z or whatever. And if you don't give it to them the way that they presented to you originally, then, you don't move up to the next level, so to speak. So it's the perfect control system when you think about it. But the Mavericks should go outside of the box that was created for them and really start asking questions and turning over every stone. Those are the ones we should look for and seek out in terms of trying to conceptualize the many things that we're trying to understand in our life. And we should be our own teachers as well. I mean, if you read philosophy and stoicism, things of that nature all the time, it tells us constantly that everything we need is already within us. And again, that's another concept that's difficult to understand or grasp. I get it. I question it at times as myself, but I have found a lot of answers for myself on this journey. And I don't think it's necessarily just myself. I do utilize my spiritual, assets and things of that nature. But to be able to see things that others can't see, perceive things others don't perceive, to gather knowledge and information and put the dots together in a way that others don't seem to be doing. Although that is changing, I might add. I'm starting to see more and more people starting to do so. I feel like I'm going from somebody who has been the only one to do this throughout the majority of my life, and now I'm seeing more and more people do that regularly here online and so on. So I feel like I'm being left behind in some cases, but no, that's a good thing. I don't let ego get in my way. No, I refuse to. So with that being said, I just do the best that I can. I know that I will be an asset and not a hindrance in this journey for other people as well. So again, the overall energy for the week is Yara, and it looks like this. Okay, it's in the second group, Ayat family, and that's overseen by God Heimdall. Heimdall basically is the guardian of Asgard. He guards the bridge, into that world, if you will, on the other side of the rainbow. Yara is number 12 in runic numerology, which translates to number 3. And number 3 is a holy number. Okay, it's represented in complete functioning process. It's the root form of dynamism, as they like to put it. 3 is used to complete and quicken things, to move things into action. There's 3 accounts, for example. You got Odin and his 2 brothers. You got basically 3 families or ayats of the runes, of 8 runes per, 24 in all. Again, the 3 roots of Yggdrasil, which is the world tree. You have the 3 norns or fates that weave every man and woman's destiny in this world. So 3 is highly represented, and what that means in this reading is probably going to differ from person to person as well. But being that it is looked at as being a holy number, and it is the overall energy for this week, and Yara is in the upright, take it how it resonates with you based on that information and knowledge. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm only pointing you in a direction, okay? You have to come to your own conclusions. But it means year, harvest, it means cycles, legalities, and that means winning in a legal battle, by the way. Rewards, peace, commitments, basically reaping what you've sown, whether good or bad. But primarily, since it's in the upright, and I'm reading specifically for the collective and any cross-watchers out there, regardless of whether they are in their lower vibrational state or in their working on themselves and are vibrating at a higher resonance. Okay, this means that you are bringing forth at the end of this cycle those things which you have basically planted along the way. If you were helpful, if you were kind, if you are hardworking and obedient, if you've been working on yourself, keeping your spiritual cleansing up, and really trying to improve upon your spiritual pursuits, then you are going to be rewarded. Okay, and that's basically what this is all about. And there's nothing wrong with being excited about, being gifted from the Most High, those things which you truly have earned. I mean, we do that every single day, right? We go out there and we give ourselves a certain amount of time, effort, and our particular skill sets and everything else in exchange for a certain amount of money each day. Although that's a whole different thing, and we are being literally vampirized in that system. And again, I speak about many other things in this world too, politically, as well as spiritually, and so on. People have classified me as a conspiracy theorist for 25, 30 years now. And I have written a lot in that time period. Little mini books, essays, poems. I even write music about these types of things. which I do plan on sharing with you all very, very soon. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, this system is literally set up, just like in the Matrix, to vampirize your energy. No, you don't have the cords and, you know, the wires and everything else hooked up to you where it's literally siphoning your energy like a battery, but in a sense that is very, very accurately portraying the truth of the matter, whether we're looking at it from the Gnostic perspective or what have you. And I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but again, I'm here to help, to edify, and to hopefully teach, or at least get people, you know, start considering or thinking about things in a different way, or perhaps, you know, helping them to understand the things they've already, you know, started to observe on their own, so that they can, you know, apply this or look into certain things a little bit more effectively, if you will. But anyways, I digress yet again. In magic, basically what we're looking at in terms of Yara, that it's used for creation, okay? Creating things such as, you know, well, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever endeavor, if your entrepreneurial, you know, pursuits are to build a website, for example, you can use Yara in that particular light. You can use it basically even to grow a garden, so anything that you can think of, basically, and even, you know, getting a promotion at work, if that's what your desire is. You work hard along with the rune and the energy that comes from Yara to produce those outcomes and results. Okay, and that's the overall energy for this week. So it'd be a perfect week to actually do those types of things. Now, as far as our past energy, we have Wunyo, but Wunyo is in the reverse. Okay, so it's upside down. It looks like a P, if you will. All right. Now, Wunyo is number 8 in runic numerology. It's the 8th rune in the runic alphabet, or Futhark, as they put it. And to recap, what Futhark is just the first 6 runes in the you know, the whole alphabet system that we call rune. Basically, what we're talking about, you know, Futhark is Fehu, Urus, Thurisaz, Ansus, and Canis. If you look at those 6 runes and you put them out first, it just spells the acronym as Futhark. Now, each one of those runes, of course, is a letter in the alphabet, but it's also represented individually with very, very specific energies attached. And at least 2 of those runes, there's actually a god specifically associated to them. Fehu, the very first one, is attributed to the goddess Freya. Freya is the goddess of wisdom, or magic and warfare, of love. She's the one that actually taught Odin, who she basically was married to, magic. So, very specific type of magic. So, there's a lot to be said about that. Now, Thurisaz also is the mighty god Thor's rune. Okay, and he's the god of thunder, so to speak, with a big hammer, and he battles, you know, protects the 9 worlds against the giants and things of that nature. Okay, so that's just a little bit of the mythology, not even a little bit really, but Wunyo basically stands, or I'm sorry, we've talked about the numerology. It stands for basically number of complete manifestation of wholeness and perfect symmetry. Its chief significance can be found in the 8-fold division of the heavens. It's the number of spiritual expanding or ordering. 8 is abundant in magical lore, mainly as a way of listing things. For example, the 8 ways, and let me see, the 8 rune operations, the 8 best things, there's other things, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to the uninitiated or those who have never read the Eddas or any of the other mythology concerning Norse mythology and so on. And a lot of it is just like any other religion that I've seen. There is a lot of double, maybe triple meanings to these words. And the mythology itself actually has maybe double meanings behind them as well. So you can take them literally as they're written, and of course it's going to sound just like another fairy tale from another cultural perspective that's hard for you to understand from, a strictly American or strictly, Asian or strictly whatever perspective that you're looking at it from. So we want to go deeper into these things to understand them. And again, like I said, maybe I shouldn't have introduced numerology as of yet, but I want to develop this as we go. So number 8 is an important number, although there's not a tremendous amount of textual support that I can give to you in regards to that right now. Okay, but what does Wunyo actually mean? Now remember, Wunyo was in the reverse, and this is our past energy. So it talks about dissatisfaction and misery, fear, talks about impatience and being headstrong, sorrowful, strife, sense of alienation and delirium, intoxication, and possession by higher forces. So yes, again, we are talking about typically what we call, because it's the only way to lump all of the different variants of those who are working against us in whatever capacity as karmic. They're just vibrating at a lower rate. They're not as far into their spiritual journey, or maybe they haven't even started really yet. Maybe you've lived many, many lives, and you continue to progress where maybe they're just young souls. And when you think of it from that perspective, it's easier to be more forgiving of them. And yes, that doesn't excuse their actions, and some of their actions are very heinous, to say the least. When they come against not just you, but your family, against your job, your possessions, against your very life, then it becomes extremely personal, and it's hard to find that love and forgiveness in your heart for these people, and you want to go out there and punch a motherfucker. I'll just put it to you that way. You do. I admit it. I grapple with it constantly, and I know that we're all no different than that in the sense that we have a dark side, a shadow side. We don't deny that of ourselves. We just admit it, confront it, look it in the eye, say, I'm in control, not you. And you deal with it from that perspective. It's no different than, whether we're talking about Hinduism or Buddhism, where you're meditating and taking control over your faculties, denying your urges for this, that, or the other thing, and actually disciplining it, like in a Stoic sense, And Marcus Aurelius is somebody that I read a lot of his particular quotes and mindsets in terms of Stoicism. So I love philosophy as well. And he's just one of many people that I read. All right, so what else does it mean? It means that impractical, raging frenzy, maybe even a sense of feeling completely berserk. So this is the state of mind and soul of the karmics in our life right now. But in magic, we can use Wunyo as a very powerful ally. Wunyo is the wishing rune. Okay, so keep that in mind. And it's used to invoke happiness and joy and success into our life. It's a great rune for healing, especially the foments of our spirit and our mind. So in terms of feeling depressed, for example, you can call upon Wunyo, or you can use it by inscribing it in many other ways to basically bring about a calm state of mind. I strongly recommend to anybody that's out there who hasn't already started to pursue this or practice it, put it into practice, that you start meditating daily. I mean daily. As an act of stoicism, make it your first order of business each and every morning. Learn breath work. Learn how to meditate. I've expanded from the 7 typical chakras that we have all heard about, to at least 9. So I've added yet another chakra, which is highly important, to become more in tune with the energy of Mother Gaia, or this planet, if you will, which is a very real living organism with a very real personality and everything else, and tap into the crystalline grid, if you will. And at the higher realms, I have the soul star chakra, the crown chakra. And that is your inner self. That's your true personality, the one who's aware of things such as past lives and everything else. You start to add these and practice these, balance these energies out on a daily basis, and you become more in tune, almost magical in your capabilities, your abilities. But that means you have to clean up your act. You have to treat your vessel with the respect, make yourself a living sacrifice in terms of Christianity, for example. And every other religion practices it. Hinduism, Buddhism, you name it, Taoism, doesn't matter. Islam, they're very disciplined. Look how many times they pray daily and things of that nature. Even though I don't subscribe to their overall beliefs, a lot of it is very, very similar in nature to that of Judaism and Christianity. And Judaism itself, unfortunately, at least from the Ashkenazi perspective, I look at as being, it's a whole nother video. I'll have to lay that out so you can see the facts historically and everything else, so as not to be described as being anti-Semite, which I certainly am not. I've been to Israel. I've been to the Middle East. I fought in the Middle East. But for Israel. Although, that's another ballgame. Alright, so, present energy. Present energy is Algis. And Algis is like the peace sign. Okay, that's what it looks like. And it's basically a symbol that Sir Winston Churchill made very popular back during World War II. Now, he was a highly initiated druid, so he is very much under the awareness of, the Celtic belief systems, pagan belief systems, so to speak. And the word pagan does not mean that you're a devil worshiper or anything of that nature. And I know that when you get everything handed to you basically as a Christian from Christian sources, so to speak, only, you're getting circular reasoning. Look to it yourself, and you'll find out that they simply were more closely aligned with nature, for example, and including the spiritual aspects of that. This is all part of the creation if you look at it from that perspective. And if you add to that the Gnostic belief systems, which is very, very spiritual. They were very, very spiritual beings. And that's why they were eradicated by the early church. They were a direct challenge to dogma of the Catholic Church, which is basically simply Rome going undercover, if you will. Rome never died. It just became the Catholic Church, so to speak. Again, a whole nother video, and I do plan on making these videos, trust me. I have a tremendous amount of information to share, and all substantiated, backed up, and with AI and all these other things at our disposal today, although it's not at my disposal as of yet. I'm still working out the technical difficulties I'm having with my, with all my computer, phone issues and things of that nature. But I do plan on doing all of these things. I want to help, and I know that's what I'm here to do. But Algis means friendship and optimism, the soul and aspirations. It means defense and warding off of evil. It talks about guardianship, being a guardian, not just for yourself, but for others as well. So, talks about connecting with the gods. Talks about awakening. Okay. It talks about higher life and instincts, intuition, maintaining or holding on to one's success or positions earned or won. In magic, it's used to channel energies appropriately, used to protect yourself and others when entering into dangerous situations. Okay. Now, number 8, I've already talked about, so I'm going to move on. This one is number 6, actually. Number 6, because it's number 15 in the runic alphabet, which reduces to number 6. Number 6 is the number of vibrant life and strength. It's used basically in terms of the way it's recognized as creation and destruction, So, now, in terms of our obstacles and challenges, we have Lagus, and Lagus is in the reverse. So it talks about need for escape or escaping your difficulties, trying to escape your karma, and so on and so forth. It talks about temptations, and again we're referring to those karmics in our life. It talks about greediness and acting in a way against one's own conscience. The Bible talks about a person's conscience becoming seared, so they no longer even hear the words or the voice of their conscience saying that's not right or inappropriate or that's just downright evil. They don't even hear those things anymore, and they can do, like I said, the most heinous of things. That's what we're talking about, the state of mind and spirit of some of the people that are in our lives. So we must proceed cautiously, not, of course, being paranoid or anything like that, but always being aware, self-aware. So they're in a state of confusion. They're making wrong decisions, poor judgments. They lack creativity, as I've already explained in previous pools, where the archonic or the lower vibrating spiritual forces are not capable of creation. Okay, they don't create on their own. They steal. They copy, if you will. That's what they do. And some of these karmics in our lives are doing the same thing. They are copying you. They are emulating you. They'll never admit it, but they are. They're stealing, in some cases, our work, making it their own. So they're doing exactly, what it is that who and what they worship do. They try to emulate, or if you will, copy God and His basic, designs and creation, but they weren't able to do it. And that's the whole story of Gnosticism versus the story of what we get in conventional dogma from any of the religious belief systems today. And that's the archons that, the demiurge actually also created to help him in this, which are talked about in Ephesians 6:10 through 20 as far as being the principalities, the powers, and so on, and the non-flesh and blood that we truly battle against daily in our life. There's a lot of truth and wisdom in that. Okay. So, anyways, it talks about them withering away slowly, actually dropping into a sense of madness. They are obsessed with us. They are in a state of despair, and of course the perversity that they literally bathe in. I mean, they practice some very, very dark and low vibrational things. And there's nothing wrong with sexuality. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're here to enjoy ourselves as well. It's just when it becomes obsessive and controls you, and that goes for anything, that's when it becomes very questionable. Maybe not so questionable as just being flat out wrong. It needs to be addressed. But also some of them are extremely sick, physically ill. And unfortunately, there's also in this room depiction the possibility of suicide. Some of them may even take their own lives. Others, they may have their lives taken from them from this illness. So it's unfortunate, and we need to pray for them. You know, again, I understand how difficult that is. They have literally chosen you as I don't know, as an enemy, even though you've done nothing to them. You may have even been a blessing in their life the whole time. But, you know, as they say oftentimes in the world of spirituality, your light basically irritates their demons. And I've heard that countless times along the way. But there's more to it than, you know, just being euphemistic phrases that we hear in the world of spirituality. And I hear it a lot in the tarot world in particular. And I think some of them just say it because it sounds good and whatever. But, like, remember now, I'm coming at it from a deeply spiritual perspective. I really did try, and I continue to try to understand, you know, the perspectives of many different cultures and their spiritual belief systems beyond what is just simply written in their words. So there's a lot going on, you know, both good and bad. So let's pray for the karmics in our life. Now in magic, it's used to further your intuition. It helps with emotions. It's great for creativity as well. It helps heal emotions once again, and can be used to heal reproductive system and ease menstruation and things like that. If you have difficulty during that period of time, if you're a woman and so on. You know, I had a wife that, you know, every time that she went through that cycle, it was very hard on her. She bled more than usual, and it was very, very hard for her. You know, I mean, it was painful and so on. I mean, the bad cramps, the whole 9 yards. And other women, they go through it as though it's almost non-existent. So it's different from all of you. But this is a rune that you can use in that capacity, okay? And used as a bind rune, and this is an example of a bind rune where I have the rune Perthro, which is this one right here, okay, and I combined it with the Lagos, the one I just shared with you. This is basically also used to help increase things such as your intuition or your psychic abilities, okay, and I want to share that with, you know, my fellow spiritual sojourners out there, okay. Now, in terms of our help and advice, what we got was Thor's mighty rune. Okay, this is Thurisaz. Okay, now Thurisaz, unfortunately, in this case, is in the reversal. So, for the help and advice, it reminds us basically, again, you know, what is going on in terms of the karmic side of things, and that we need to pray for our enemies, so to speak. Okay. But again, there's always a line, and that line, once it's crossed, means that you no longer have to just passively accept their abuses or anything like that. And I would strongly suggest you don't do that anyways, that you send back to them the energy that they're sending towards you, whether it's in the form of what they call the evil eye, where they're just looking at you while you're doing, for example, this video, and they see you in a sense of disdain, or just they hate you without even knowing why they hate you. Again, because your light basically irritates their demons. It's those demons that are, so to speak, acting in their life. Whether you want to look at it from a Jungian's perspective, or a very deeply spiritual perspective, or even a Gnostic, which is still spiritual, right? Doesn't matter. The concept is still there. It provokes them to make you their enemy, even though you've done absolutely no wrong to them. They cannot stand the fact that you are at peace, that you are trying to love and help and things of that nature, because all they want is what's in it for them. You know, they're selfish, self-serving. They're just downright evil. I mean, they're acting that way anyways. But again, it's because they're at a different place in their journey than you are, okay? So, what it means is a sense of stubbornness and foolhardiness. Somebody who doesn't heed advice. And I've been trying to give, you know, my so-called enemies advice nonstop for years now to help them, not to, to put it in their face or anything, but I know that they watch me. I've told them I know, and still they think they're being so sneaky. It's almost hilarious how ridiculous it is, but I'm just trying to help them out. They just refuse to accept it. So folly and being endangered as a result of their lack of clarity, maybe even being in a state of defenselessness. Maybe they're being attacked on all sides because of the energy that they sent to us that we returned back to them. Now they're starting to reap what they have sown. Like I said, that's what this is. The end of this cycle represents. They're getting their karma. But they have their compulsions. They haven't dealt with them, so they're still allowing, their vices to rule over them, their demons, so to speak. And in some cases, quite literally. Some of them definitely are actually demon-possessed, if you will, or they're occupied by the agent Smiths in this matrix, or however you wish to look at it. I'm not telling you what to think, I'm just giving you perspectives. So they're also either being betrayed or still in the state of betraying you and others in their life. There's no honor among thieves. But they are experiencing this for themselves. They betrayed you, now they themselves are being betrayed. Feeling a sense of dullness. What's this really all about? Why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I felt that way too, so I can emphasize. I can empathize with them on that at times. Being evil, having a sense of malice and hatred, again, towards us, and for reasons I've already shared. Maybe even tormenting themselves with all of this anger and bloodlust and all that they feel. A sense of spite, being liars. Unfortunately, rape is also a part of this when it's in the reversal. So somebody out there has actually already done this act, this reprehensible act of forcing their will upon another human being against another human being's will. And it also represents a generally bad human being or person. Okay? So that's what the help and advice is. It's telling us that these people have literally sunk into as low as you pretty much can go before your life is taken away from you. And I'm not saying that everybody who's in this state right now can't come back from that, but it's going to take every ounce of effort that you have put into being a nasty human being into becoming a healthy one. So it's not going to be an easy journey for you, but for those out there within the collective, I strongly ask that you pray for them and give them, at least with your energetic exchange, since you've already sent all the negative energy back to them, now they're dealing with it, and rightfully so. It's justice, reciprocity, call it whatever you want, karma. Pray for them, okay? So one of the most powerful runes in the runic, family, if you will. So it has to be used with respect, okay? Just like you might imagine Thor being the protector, of the planets, if you will, or the other worlds, and the Yggdrasil's world tree, 9 different worlds represented there, including this one. We are one of the 9. We are Midgard. Asgard is where the gods are, basically. Alright, so that is the energy for help and advice. Now, our future energy is Ingwas. Now, Ingwas is shown like this, or it can just be represented by the diamond itself that's in the middle. Okay? This one is in the upright. It's one of the 9 that looks the same, up or down. But this one is in the upright, and it represents the god Freyr, which is the twin brother of Freya. Okay? And he is the god, if you will, of masculinity, sexuality, and things of that nature on the earth god. But it also represents the attributes of being a hero, your human potentiality, what your potential actually is, your freedom, conclusions and consequences, male fertility, as I stated, your internal growth. I got the hiccups, I'm fighting them. Your common virtues, your strength, la familia, family love and common sense, human warmth, the home. Talks about a resting stage. And again, this is for you, because this is also the end of our cycle. So it talks us that, all loose ends basically are being tied off, so we are free to move in a direction that's positive for us. This whole karmic cycle is coming to a close. So it is what it is. I'm not going to expand on that. It's basically where we also are, encouraged to listen to our own intuition. And if you don't practice that regularly, then it's something that you're, robbing yourself of. You can develop these abilities and these skills, every one of us. But you have to practice them, listening to your inner voice. Okay. Now, in magic, it's used in matters of sexuality and potency. Just like the rune Fehu and Yera, it can be used to grow anything that you're trying to create. So manifest whatever creations that you're, visualizing, and even, your own garden. So that's basically what it represents. Now, it's number 22 in the runic family, which translates to number 4. And number 4 is a number of stasis and solidity, another waiting, in other words. So, again, in Christianity, it's not our timing, but we're waiting upon God's timing, if you will, in the situation. So things, for some of you, have already manifested. Some of you, they are manifesting as we speak. And others, basically, are still waiting for these things to manifest in a tangible way in our life, in this existence. Be good faith and all of that good stuff, because it is happening, and this is what it's telling us. It's telling us to just, continue to be patient, to continue to do what we're here to do, and that, your blessings are coming, okay? And I just want to encourage you with that. All right, and that's where I'm going to leave it here today, you guys. This is basically just an overall, look at the energies and so on from both, those who are trying to fight against us. And again, there's examples in every religion about, these, if you will, karmic energies that come against, the greatest of the leaders. We see that against Krishna. We see that against Christ. We see that against the Buddha himself. We see that in every major religion, where they always had their protagonist or their karmics that were constantly fighting them. So, if it happened to them, it's going to happen to us too. So just take it with a grain of salt, although I know it's easier to hear that, or I should say to say that, than to hear that, or to actually practice that. And it is for me too, I admit it, I do. But I want to encourage you to try and to think about it that way when you are going through it, to meditate upon that, in fact, and try to find peace in it, as hard as it is. And again, it helps you to move up another level. It does. It's just another lesson we're all here to learn. And I'm trying to share these things with you so that, you can minimize the amount of time going through all of this and trying to put it all together for yourself, so you don't have to wait, 60 years in your life to figure this stuff out. Okay? So I'm a late bloomer. I admit it, but I've never given up. And that is my claim to fame. I'd never give up. And I would strongly encourage each and every one of you to have the same warrior mentality. And I don't care if you are bedridden, you're in a wheelchair, you can't talk, whatever the case may be. It matters not in the spiritual battle. In the spiritual battle, it's what's on the inside that matters. And you can be the greatest force, with your prayers, with your will, and everything else, because it can literally move mountains. Okay? And I'm going to leave you with that. And I'll see you again very soon. So, of course, victory to everybody that's out there. And this is also included for the karmics, that I do hope that you guys reconsider your choices. I'll just leave it at that. But, of course, for the collective, definitely. And much further in the future, hopefully. I'll see you all in Valhalla, so to speak.